Should really make them players on Team Liquid as well. Let's get the best of 5 up there. Okay, things are really getting started in the bottom left. As the blue Zerg, she is QB. And top right, as the pink Zerg going for the 12 pool, she is Telia. Not usually what she does. You know, she can be very Ling heavy, but usually not super early on. She can get away with it, usually a hatch first, right? But a 12 pool, right off the bat. QB just went through a best of 3 where she was a little more on guard against an early pool, I suppose, with her own pool first being the option in both of those games. But here, brand new best of 5 against someone she's faced in at least 4 different Banshee tournaments, at least. Actually might be right on the money with that, but anyways. She doesn't really do pool first a lot, so QB's not doing a pool first. Defensively. This is gonna get a little weird. We'll see who ends up with the advantage, because Telia could still mess it up micro and execution-wise. QB had some strong knowledge of how to defend this, and I say that as if she wouldn't usually. No, she does. She's made Masters 1 again, I believe, somehow. And usually you have to win a couple ZVZs that way, and I'm guessing ZVZ on ladder has a lot of early pools. But she showed that she knows how to do it, and she can do it against Ragnar Arquette earlier today. It ended up being a Baneling all-in, though, and that could have backfired on QB. If she pulls the drones here and micros them correctly against Telia, then everything should be good to go. I do want to mention, as I usually do between these two, that QB is European, and we are playing on the NA East, so that is a little favorable to Telia. Well, I'm not sure if she's Central or West or anything, but it's favorable to Telia. So the micro is going to be a little harsh for the beginning of the game, but QB has still, nonetheless, taken Telia at least twice to game number 5. Now here, she's going to buy as much time as possible, so anytime that Telia runs after the drones with Lings is actually something that QB wants, assuming that she doesn't lose the drones in the process. Now right here, for instance, she doesn't really want to lose these really weak drones. So far, not happening. I don't know how that one in the middle somehow survived. It was at like 10 health points. But I guess Telia was unable to focus fire it before she ended up getting partially surrounded. Telia not finding a lot of success here, despite finding a preferred opener, is going to fall behind in drones. Didn't interrupt QB's mining of gas either, and now she does have speed. Puts them back into gas, no doubt for Banelings. This Overlord did see the hatchery, it did see the hatchery, and is soon going to see the creep spread. Looks like Telia was thinking about taking the third base, and then was like, maybe not. Maybe I need to get my drones up first and foremost, and with Larva just popping, she does have the Larva to do so. So that is the better option. Alrighty then, Telia, not off to a super great start. QB, I believe, once had a 2-0 advantage, and then Telia was able to bring it back, so even if she goes down here, don't underestimate her. So the game's gonna go on, you know, without too much happening for a little while. I guess these queens taking out this Overlord is always a bit of a freebie if you can get it. The timing of it is very close to speed finishing though for QB, and this could have backfired into losing 2 queens. That would have been a little... That would hurt, that would hurt, that would hurt. But it doesn't. Instead, just an easy 100 minerals out, another Larva to be used on that. Plus it might have messed up QB's timing on her Ling Flood. It doesn't. QB already had an Overlord in production, and then another one's on away, so really no supply block at all. Just instantly grabs that queen before the slow lings can react. Did it scout how many slow lings there were? Because that is a hell of a lot of lings. I think Telia has been trying to split them up to make sure it doesn't, and I'm thinking with QB going for 3 more drones here, she didn't actually see how many lings there were. We're seconds away from speed finishing for Telia. She has to reveal how many lings she has a little prematurely. You know, otherwise she was scot-free without the Overlord being able to see this, so it was a little too early. Banelings are done. They get some decent hits. Looking for another one. That first one was pretty good. And they almost got a second really good one. End up being used on like 3 or 4 lings there. Not too shabby. Evening out the ling numbers is all that QB really had to do, because no one's having an advantage of bases yet. In fact, QB is the one that throws on her Baneling, or her 3rd hatchery down. It's a huge Baneling, it's a Baneling. And is going to find the advantage there. She sees Telia go for her own. It's not too far behind. Now we're like full swing into the Ling Baneling wars. Who's going to come out ahead? Telia had some trouble against a person we really didn't know much about in her series, in her semifinal. So this could be something that QB was watching, learning from, realizing there is a weakness here. Unfortunately, with the server being as it is, it might not be the strongest thing she can do, but I think it is still strong. Telia was mostly losing out against that unknown Miyamori because she wasn't going for her own banelings though, and with her own baneling, she did a lot better, and this is something that she has in this game, so... Trading out baneling for baneling, ling for ling, kind of evenly, but QB reinforcing a bit faster. Ends up with that lead. Celia has defender's advantage kicking in. It's not much in ZVZ, right? Not much in Ling Wars, but it is something. Usually the defender's advantage that works strongest to Ling Wars is like queens, you know, sniping banelings, but... You know, that's second, 2 seconds. Your lings get there faster, can be important. Kind of a nice hit there on the tail ends. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought that killed more than one lane, but only one carcass was there. But these, that's a little more important. 3 banelings rolling their way in here, waddling their way in here. No one's gonna have roly banelings for a while. Waddling their way in here. One baneling is killed. Oh, with the miss micro. Sends them to the south instead of the north and gets a big old chunk killed for it. 8 drones go down. Telia, though, still throws down that 4th base. To hell with your drones. To hell with my drones. Die for all I care. Not actually something you want to be saying. Being down 12 drones, a 4th hatchery does not really make up for that. They're gonna be equal upgrades in a weird way. We're gonna have 1 carapace for one person, 1 melee with the other. That doesn't negate the +1 carapace, right? There's an option of like which one's cheaper. Oh, nice little trade there. 2 for 4, and even a ling for Telia, who has another baneling on the offensive. Does QB have any defensively being made? Okay, now some are being made. She's also shooing away a misrallied overlord. Not the first time I've seen Telia do this. In the heat of the battle, it can be hard to remember to separate those off when you build them, because usually it's done by grabbing the egg when you make it and then continuing to make whatever else you're trying to make. When it's Ling Wars, that can be a couple of crucial half seconds that you need. Oh my god. Well, speaking of, loses most of her lings there and only 1 baneling left over on that side of the field to help out. Could go for the trade here just to make it a little bit easier to snipe later on. Actually, she has 3 more banelings that were near her 4th base, so that was a good trade there. +1 carapace finishes slightly before QB's +1 melee. We're not really talking so much about lings anymore, or banelings, sorry, we're talking about lings. Looks to be quite an even number of lings, though. Looks like QB's gonna win that. Uh-oh. Telia might have underestimated. Now it's a 4th base. If she loses it, maybe it's not the biggest deal, question mark, but it's not something she wanted to lose. More lings, more banelings, and a queen coming from that 4th base wants to help out. A lot of these lings certainly were very low, so this queen is able to tear them down without losing too much health in a hatchery, about halfway down. So many lings just coming forward here. They've now started each other's upgrades, by the way, which is something you just don't really see very often. One person is usually decided to go into roaches at this point, or even try a gambit towards a spire, but to go into both of the upgrades one after another, that's a little rare. These lings are not gonna turn into any banelings. I thought maybe they go for a back attack, and maybe that would have been the better option, but they're just hiding their numbers. They go in a straight line to hide their numbers. Doesn't work out that well. Doesn't actually end up doing anything. This is a little more dangerous, as I don't see anything on the 3rd base except a couple queens. With transfuse, sure, but not up against the wall. Oh, the lings are not going for it. Looks like they were clicked on top of the hatchery, hoping there was nothing there, or hoping to find drones, perhaps, to target fire on. I actually don't find anything. Where is Celia mining from her bases? Okay, some drones at the 4th. They both are hovering around that 40 count, which I guess isn't a lot to transfer over to a 3rd base anyways. There's so much action going on everywhere. A queen goes down over here. Banelings try and collect out whatever is their due. In this case, just 1 ling. Not too bad. Now everything focuses back on the 3rd base, but no, actually, main might be compromised as the natural is. So this queen is holding the line between the banelings and the hatchery. Really nicely done. Drones also trying to hold the line, but more drones are going down for certain as QB has nothing attacking Telia's 3rd or 4th base at this time. It seems that the Ling Wars have finally gone in someone's favor, and it is Telia's favor, as she now has an overwhelming amount of lings here, almost doubling the army supply. Can't she get them across the map? Can QB get any good baneling hits to help out here? No, she's not even trying to make banelings right now. And that is going to be it. GG. Celia takes game number 1 despite an awkward start to things. I have change in my pocket. So now it is QB's map choice. I haven't heard about QB making GM, but it wouldn't surprise me if she eventually did. GM on EU is really hard, though. It's like 400 more MMR than NA GM. So, depending on what MMR she is in her Masters 1, she might actually be NA GM. Some really close lane baneling wars today. We have definitely a decent amount of ZVZ in this tournament on a weekly basis, but like half the games I want to say go into roaches. Because we have some Zerg players who prefer going straight to roaches, so they kind of force that issue. To have so many Zerg players stay on lane baneling is a bit of a surprise. Like these two could, you know, sure. But then we had another Zerg player who was very good at it. And even Aiba was trying to work it out. Ragnar Ket did early pools. Like, yeah, it was all about links today. It is Cerulean Fall on the bottom left. It's her map choice. The blue Zerg, QB. In the top right, as the pink Zerg, she is Telia. So yeah, awkward start to the game for Telia. Chose to go for the early pool. Not really committed early pool, but still. And she did fall behind. And then she fell even further behind. At one point down 10 drones. Third base later. Seemed to be under a lot of fire. Ended up bringing it back. I'm sure if I took that game and, you know, looked through it, could actually use the speed up and slow down options. I could say exactly when QB took really inefficient trades. When exactly she missed her injects compared to Telia. So on and so forth. But with such an action-packed game, it was hard to keep track of exactly who is popping that larva at a faster, better rate than the other. If that was the issue, the resources loss was the issue. I guess it was eventually the issue, but, you know, where exactly did it start to teeter-totter over to Telia's side to end in an overwhelming victory that can be a little inaccurate? You know, if you come in towards the later stage of a ZVZ lane baneling war and you see one person up doubling the army supply and you're like, well, clearly this person's a better player. It could have been one bad baneling hit. It could have been multiple small things. And in that game, I think it was multiple small things. So, is Telia the better player? Historically, yes. Tournament results, yes. Game result from last game? Yes, she won it, right? But I feel like it was awfully close to swinging the other direction, you know? No early pools this game. I would say I don't doubt them going to link baneling wars again, but it is Cerulean Fall. And when this map makes it into a ZVZ, one person almost always chooses to go for Roach Wall-Off on the ramp. With QB choosing this map, you would think it would be her, but Telia could also do it. It's kind of rare, I would say, to see both players go for that Roach Wall-Off for whatever reason, but I guess that could have also happened. This game, not so much. Both going for the speed, and we do see a drone being sent out for QB. Takes that third base, which Telia is now headed towards with her 6 slings. Telia should be not too far behind on the drone, sending off to the third base, and that's exactly what she does. So, all right, gonna be lane baneling again. Telia could try and skip the baneling nest and play to that +1 Carapace build we saw earlier today from her, considering that she is up 1-0 when she's against an opponent that she has faced many times before, whereas Miyamori was kind of a question mark. And that's exactly what she does. No Banshee nest, just an evolution chamber. So that should be for the +1 carapace. Hopefully everything goes well on the Ling Baneling fights without your own Banelings. And you eventually get to the 1/1 attack with Roaches and Lings. It's a little far in the future, but that's usually what the evolution chamber player is trying to do. So in this case, it's the pink Servtilia. Now, she's going to make Lings for multiple reasons. First of all, QB's going to make Lings. Second of all, even if that wasn't the case, she would want QB to be so worried about defending and making Banelings to catch up to Telia's count of Lings that she wouldn't be missing out on her own Banelings trying to defend. You know, when they flipped the script, suddenly that's when Telia did become endangered, right? Whereas anytime that she was on the offensive on her opponent's side of the map, things looked a lot better. But QB, I mean, I think she saw what happened in Telia's last ZVZ. She wasn't playing anyone at the time, so it would have been in her best interest to watch the game and see where the weaknesses are. And if she did, then she knows, especially once she confirms that it's an evolution chamber, not a Baneling nest, that just continuing with the Ling Baneling micro is going to be the best bet, but looks like she was going to do it regardless of her scouting. 1 or 2 Banelings? No, all 3 Banelings made on the defensive. Wait a minute. Well, those Lings aren't defending. Well, this might not be worth it. So it looks like QB was going to go for the attack, which wouldn't have been that bad. She saw there was an evolution chamber, so that's probably what prompted her to think that might be a good idea. But then she stopped in the middle of the map, thought about maybe coming back was a problem. Maybe she was, in the midst of thinking 2 different choices. And then didn't defend her third base, so now this is an all-in, and Telia is going to feel a little more comfortable. Even if she takes some drone losses, say like 10, she might be able to bring this back. But she also could easily be overwhelmed here. The Baneling's getting really complicated to deal with. There's so many Lings protecting them. Oh my god. She almost lost every single Ling right there. Spineclaw to help out. Focus fire down the Banelings. Exactly what it's trying to do, but the Queen's a little late to the focus fire. That's the one from the main base. Something here to stop it. But the Baneling doesn't collide it very much. Wait, did I not put the game heart on? I did not put game heart on. I don't know when's the last time that happened. 14 drones go down. I was like, that's a lot of carcasses not to have anything happen. So the carcasses tell the tale here. The blood splatter on the ground as Telia dips down to 15 drones, trying to make that back up. But, I threw out a ballpark number of potential comeback areas of drones, and I said 10 lost. So, staying at 20, and now she'd be up to 25 again. That's something I think that she could do, but that's 15. That's like, I don't know. Even with the +1 carapace, it's gonna make things a little bit easier for sure, but I don't know. It's hard. QB doesn't have the injects that she wanted for the third base, so she is her macro is looking very poor as her mineral bank starts to really accumulate. She is having trouble dealing with even a small pack of Lings from Telia, who did not lose her third base, although she did lose her queens, right? No, wait, maybe she didn't. Maybe they lived. Actually, they did live. They just weren't as helpful as they were supposed to be. They didn't block the ramp. Okay, yeah, so injects could be a really big problem as time goes on, but money is going to be Telia's main problem. For the time being, she's trying to get back up to a decent drone count. She finally makes it to 33, but that's because she wasn't making any Lings for a while there, or not very many anyways. 4 queens and a spine crawler is certainly a lot to defend the natural, but what about the third base? No creep spread to bridge the gap here so the queens can go ahead and help with the micro. They are so helpful in dealing with the Baneling, so damn helpful. And we actually see here Telia splits up her queens, but a little bit prematurely, it looks like. Yeah, okay, these 2 queens come back to the third base. They do have a transfuse, but they're not going to grab it. They do not get it, and they're also not helping with the Banelings as much as they thought they would. The spine crawler is barely getting a couple of hits in. Telia, she was almost bringing it back there. Almost, very close to it. But the split on the queens might not have been the right idea. The counterattack or the run by, whatever you want to call it, might not be the better idea. If she had these Lings back at home, maybe she would have been able to deal with everything. And actually, maybe it is the best idea. She might have lost all of her queens, but she still has that +1 carapace, and these Lings are dealing a hell of a lot of damage to the third base. They are shoot away here, but that brought QB's army back home to stop the snowball effect from happening. Telia now adding in 6 more drones is a very dangerous thing to do. QB's not really droning very much more. These drones being moved over from the main base to maybe it's a mind game. That's a very early pull on the drones from the main, and I don't see any other reason why she would have done that other than trying to convince Telia that those are 7 like, ish brand new drones made and that she's trying to actually bring it into a macro game. But Telia is going to get into the main base and see an odd number of drones in the main and be like, okay, is that really all your drones over there? I don't think so. Queen does go down to a small number of lings because that Carapace is helping a little bit. +1 melee is about to finish for QB. It takes such a long time. Telia trying her damnedest to bring this back. The upgrade helped. The decision making so far has been okay. You know, it's kept her in the game, but losing so many drones early on might just be unrecoverable. Both of them are now struggling to use their injects, I suppose, too. Telia going for a 4th base finally, but having lost all those queens and they weren't injecting for the longest time either, really started to show here. GG, well played. QB ends up bringing the snowball to fruition. She was a tiny little one and almost got stopped, and it turned into an avalanche. GG indeed. 1-1 score, all tied up. Huh. Automaton. This is the second time Telia has chosen that map. Maybe she just likes it. I always look for Automaton and then forget that it's on the first map on the map screen because it has an A. Let's bring it back down here. Both players are ready. Automaton for the 3rd game of this best of 5. Not match point yet. Instead, all tied up. With QB still being one of the only people who can really go almost toe-to-toe with Telia. Consistently, I guess, since we now have Miyamori doing it in the last series. Ah, Tauntaun, you stupid, weird spawning positions. In the bottom left is the pink Zerg. She is Telia. In the top right is the blue Zerg. She is QB. I don't know if she's intentionally choosing colors that aren't similar to her opponents, but I think last time she chose green to Vriska's orange. If she's doing it on purpose, like A+ work for the viewers of the tournament. If she's doing it because she doesn't want to deal with being confused about her own lings, there is team colors that you can put on, so you don't have to do that, but... yeah, they're both going for hatch first, so there's less interesting things to talk about. There's probably more interesting things to talk about too, but I can't think of any right now. I can put a cat cam up. There you go. Who's that little Cody Patori? You are. You can barely see him. Next time I have to replace the bedding there, because I replaced it like a month ago. I'll replace it with a black felt or whatever the hell it is. It's fake wool, which probably doesn't come in black, but... and let's be real, after a month of Apollo using it, it'll be white anyways. But something to contrast with them a little bit better. To get his full cuteness, his full cutie patootiness. I'm an incomplete human being, guys. When I can't think of anything to say, I talk about cats. The thing is, we have watched these two battle it out so often. Not always week after week. You know, you know, QB doesn't show up for one, Telia's sick for one. You know, that happens, it happens. But pretty damn consistently. And I could talk again about why Telia seems to always win out, but it gets a little boring, a little overused. And I could talk about how QB is probably eventually, like maybe, right? Could even become the stronger mechanically of the two. Could have the higher MMR of the two. Again, I'm not sure what they are. You know, piece to piece. You know, one's Masters 1 on EU, one's GM, but what is their MMR? But even that, I don't think would be quite enough. It's gonna require a little bit of luck, as tournaments usually do. And then just maybe a change in the rule set as well. And I was thinking, I default to NA just because, you know, usually you choose somewhere to default to in case people can't agree. Oh, I better see the drone. And NA seems to be the best one because it has the West, Central, and East servers, so you can kind of accommodate to Koreans, you can accommodate to the Europeans, and the Europeans to the Koreans, right? But there is another way you can do rules where you can make it so they coin flip for server preference, like then they, you know, coin flip whoever wins gets to choose if their server preference is first or last, right? Like, and then it goes A, B, A, B, A. Or you could do loser's pick for server, also is another way to do it. It might be a way to get QB a win here, because some of these mistakes that she makes could be off the back of just half a second delay due to the server. I might look into it more later on. Ask around, see if it's a good idea. But for now, we're on NA East. So, Ling Wars are happening once again. What a surprise. Ling's attacking Telia's base, but Telia's Ling's attacking QB's base. Who's gonna win out here? This base is on fire, but this base is still rather healthy, so technically it looks like Telia is winning, but, I mean, winning is a very strong word for someone who has, for both people having their third hatcheries alive and somewhat fairly well. +1 melee is already being researched, though, and that's where Telia really is looking far ahead, even though she's slightly behind in the drones and the army supplies. She's managing to get on top of these banelings, almost anyways. Two do finish up here, but this time Telia has her own. She's not going to be trying that Carapace game again, I don't believe, for the rest of the series, as now that it is 2 series, we're trying that. Has kind of bitten her in the butt. I heard banelings go off to the right side, but I don't believe it was a lot of lings. I'm more focused on these that are skirting past the third, skirting past the natural, and then boom! Oh, no! Almost get fantastic hits. Oh, that would have been a lot of damage to the main base if it had gotten the perfect hit, but that might have been the delay. That also might have been the delay. QB not reacting, that one baneling ends up losing most of hers, but these banelings almost made it through. Almost got the big kaboom on top of the main. Did not quite do it, and now QB is down 6 workers, down an upgrade, and not looking so hot here. Well, I guess her hatchery looks hot because it's literally on fire, but her game ain't looking so hot. As Telia even finds it in her to get +1 Carapace. That's a lot of gas to put into that, and not your own banelings. But she has control over the game so far. Taking a bit of a tussle here is not too problematic. QB's finally getting her own evolution chamber, but you can't chrono boost as a Zerg player, I'm sorry. You're not gonna catch up on those upgrades. Although that would be cool. You know, people talk about that thing that Day 9 did so long ago, and even Bayshare TV did, where viewers can kind of control the game. They can cheer for their favorite player if they're losing and give them like 500 extra minerals, stuff like that. I wonder if giving the Zerg player an option of chrono boost would be a fair thing to do. Okay, that was a bit of a trade there. Telia not left with too many lings left over, and not reinforcement too many. Okay, never mind, they just popped out. Perfect timing on the pop out of reinforcements, as they do protect not the queen, but the drones. Oh, hold on. Oh, hold on. Oh, lordy, here they come. Oh, lord, they're coming. All right. And they detonate a bunch of lings that Telia is more than happy to sacrifice for the greater good of the drones. And is now even biting back, as she has a +1 melee. All she really has to worry about is these banelings finishing, and they do not finish. Otherwise, if she has the same or greater number of lings, then obviously she is going to take that fight. You'll be trying to decide exactly what to do. Telia peels off half of her lings to go for the attack on the third base. 2 banelings are being morphed in right now, but that might be a little bit too late. QB is trying to do the same to Telia's third base, but is simply surrounded and dealt with. Not too much going on Telia's side. QB, though, gonna lose maybe a queen here. This Baneling. Pretty good. +1 carapace wasn't quite done. Otherwise, Telia might have gotten that last hit in that queen. I mean, good lord, it was on like 1 health. Micro wars are insane, but Telia is getting the upper advantage, and that makes sense. She now has 2 upgrades to QB's 0 upgrades, even though +1 melee is like 20 seconds from finishing. It's just still not going to be as helpful. Hatch rate does go down. They both are banking a lot of minerals here. Injects being missed. Queen's dying. Third base is now dead, but at the end of the day, it's Telia with more lings and better upgrades. And that is going to be it for game number 3, I believe. GG. Telia takes game number 2. Nope, number 3. But takes her second game in the series. That's what I meant. Nah. Those banding chunkers. These funny words. Alexander. No one likes that guy. Port Alexander is coming up next. How did this... Did I move that mic? I could have sworn it was slower when I started casting. Whoops. No, don't accept that. I don't want you as my party. Get out! I don't know what it is, but I hate people who make maps through making parties. I shouldn't. The downside is if someone's not there, then it doesn't make the map at all. It eventually times out and it just is like, derp, can't do it. But, you know, if everyone's there and it's not that big of a party, it really is an okay way to do things. I don't know. I've been burnt too many times from people making parties of like 9 casters and players and then expecting to make the game. I'm like, it's not gonna happen. Just individually invite, and when someone's not here for 30 seconds, be like, as soon as you lose, and then go. But maybe I'm a cruel person. Poor Alexander could be our last map of this series. QB down 1 on match point. I believe she can bring it back to game number 5, but if things go the way they have been, Telia first, QB second, Telia third, QB fourth, then Telia gets 5th. Of course, it's not always how it works out, I know that, but it's something I always think about when I see this dynamic happening. The bottom right is the pink Zerg up 1. She is Telia. And top left as the blue Zerg, she is QB. I don't talk about my cat again. I'll go poke with a stick. Do something. Just like White Ninja poking Blizzard to do something after Bungie left Activision. Everyone saw that meme, right? I'm not being too much of a memester when I say that. We have Tila going for... Okay, yeah, so... Yeah, when you see just a pool first, and then they go for a hatchery and then a gas. You know, they'll make 6 lings. Maybe 8, you know, feeling frisky. Maybe they're just defending against someone else's earlier pool. But when they make a pool and a gas before their hatchery, definitely should be an all-in. If it's not an all-in, then I think they're doing it wrong. But I guess there are some times when it's awkward and they use it defensively. Anyways. That almost seems like a BM good luck have fun, considering what we know she's doing. But it isn't. She just forgot to do it. So yeah, this hatchery's gonna be late, and QB's gonna notice that and think that, okay, it was a pool first. But then she's got to think, was it their gas or not? You know, that's the big contributor here is the gas. You make 6 lings, that's it, no problem. You make 6 lings and then 20 lings, you hide those lings, and boom, speed hits, and then suddenly QB just dies, easy peasy. Now, QB has, in a few of these games, right, been going for 2 base Baneling nests, which give her a rather nice timing of a Baneling nest against an attack like this. but it's still like seconds can make the difference, world of difference. And if she can get any type of indication that this is what Telia is doing, right? She sees the gas, she sees how fast the speed has started on the pool with a ling or something like that. She sees all the lings being hidden somewhere with a ling or an overlord that somehow gets past the queens. She can also build a wall in an emergency. But yeah, you need to have some indication that this is happening. You need to play a little defensive from the get-go if you never scout it, and then maybe you can hold it. But really, it's about scouting it and figuring things out. So that's why in a lot of pro games, you see 2 to 4 lings being sacrificed to get a scout into even the main base, where if that is happening, then it seems pointless, you know, like, oh, what were they expecting to find, right? Like, DVDs mostly go into the third base or roaches. But then there's those games where they find these lings stacked up in the main base, and it's totally worth it. So, here comes that Baliness timing. We have a third hatchery being faked. I don't think you can actually afford the third hatchery when you do this. You can't. It's a little weird, though, to fake as a Zerg player, because with the Protoss, you can just place the pylon and be like, yeah, I'm totally gonna make a Nexus. But the third is like, I sent my drone out and then didn't do anything. Like, that's not what you do with drones. So that didn't really fake as long as it wasn't actually quite worth it. But it's regardless, right? The Overlord sees how many lings are now on the way. The Baliness is not quite done. And Telia is not going to waste time on this third base. That would be a misplay if she did. There's no wall set up here, and QB is probably going to be cheesed out at game number 4. She does respond about as well as she possibly can, though. The Baliness is going to finish at the very least, and she will start some Banelings, but they're very weak Banelings, and they're instantly torn down. Now the Banelings being made behind the Queens is what you want to do, but the hatcheries are all going to go down here. This hatchery is going to be killed. Hopefully it's canceled. This hatchery is going to be killed. The Baliness could even be killed. Transfuses go into the hatchery, but it's not going to save it, unfortunately. The Banelings are so close to being finished, but it's not going to save the hatchery, and this one's not going to be saved either, and QB still ultimately takes a harsh loss from not scouting what was going on. That's basically game. It looks like she did get the cancel. I'm just going to replace that 300 minerals with the hatchery here. But, what can her counterattack do? Now, she has the Baneling advantage. She has speed of her own. Telia not going for her own Baneling, so she took entirely out of gas. Now putting it back into gas. Maybe eventually she'll be able to afford a Baneling nest. Oh my god! Oh, Telia really couldn't afford that. She wanted to scare off QB for as long as possible so her Spine Claws could finish, but she really couldn't afford to lose that many lings. More lings are on the way. 2 Spine Claws about to finish here. And luckily for Telia, that's enough. That's enough to scare away QB. She's going to wait for her own Banelings. She could take on the Spine Crawlers if they were all alone with Queens, but they were going to be reinforced with Lings, and it probably wouldn't have been worth it at the end of the day. But if she gets another really good Baneling hit, then maybe she can continue to attack, or at least pretend to be attacking to keep Telia from droning. Her Banelings are found out, and they should be treated out a little bit better than this, but oh well. Point is, it wasn't all of Telia's lings. Telia is upping drones and getting even further ahead in drones as QB goes back to making lings. Telia doesn't even take a pit stop around Baneling nests. She doesn't actually think she needs it. That's dangerous, but maybe she's in the right. Evolution Chamber going to help a little bit with the wall around the Spine Crawlers. Third base does go down, something that QB does see. And she could try and play a macro game here. Just catch up in drones by feigning aggression. But I don't see a drone being sent out to a third base, so I'm not too sure that's her plan. Now, eventually, as Telia continues to roam around the offensive, if she was still continuing to roam around the offensive, QB would figure out, like, there's no Banelings. And she'd be like, okay, so you're trying to go without any Banelings. And maybe she'd be a little more aggressive with what she has, but right now she doesn't quite know. She's probably at the point where she's figuring it out, though. Okay, there's absolutely no Banelings. I'm gonna go for this. If you go for a lot of Banelings, instead of doing the old, like, conservative 4, maybe, when you go for 6, 8, maybe even 10, it's really hard for someone without Banelings to defend against that. That's where Spine Crawlers have to micro and Queens have to micro, and you just can't use your Lings at all. Otherwise, all of them will get popped off. But, you know, to actually make 8 Banelings is a task here, as we see. QB did have enough gas, but she was being attacked, and I guess only recently she had enough gas, because she started +1 melee. But it could be the best call. Now 3 Queens coming here. They're going to look for the defense. They're going to be the only thing defending. A somewhat wall is up here around this one Spine Crawler to help out, but that is going to be popped off by the Banelings for the most part. She's still alive. Evolution was also still alive. Telia went for the counter here. Counter, 1 by. It's hard to say. It's sort of a base race, honestly, but no defensive Banelings are made for QB. Now, if she had a couple, this would be an easy peasy win for her. As it is, it's a little bit sketchy. Some more spine claws are on the way. Telia using all the minerals that she was saving up for that third base that she canceled to try and hold out here. Natural drone still alive. Main drone still alive. Not the same situation for QB. He has lost 9 drones after already being behind. Even a Ling here chipping away the Baneling nest. That could be bad news. Banelings do hit the main base. They did not get a beautiful first hit. The second one is okay as it gets 4 drones, but Telia is still up 11. Now with 3 spine claws to help out here with her evolution chamber and Roachborn still alive as well. Oh god, no. They are so close to dying. A couple more Banelings would have easily taken that out of the equation. And QB would have come out of here with at least an upgrade lead, even if she would have fallen behind perhaps in the Roach Wars. QB has her own third base, and that's where she finds her advantage. Not that she's really using it, only at 25 drones. Lair is now on the way as Telia transfers just completely over into Roaches. +1 carapace is done for her, going into a +1 missile. She needs to be a little bit careful. It's not enough Roaches to protect her from what is now, as we speak, as it gets around, +1 melee Lings. But that carapace helps out a lot. And more Lings put forward for Telia to protect her Roaches, so it does end up going favorably for her. She loses a couple drones in her attempt to get the third base, but she is replacing them, so. All still favorable for Telia, perhaps. QB, I mean, eventually she'll use the injects here. Eventually she'll get drones over here. This third base really isn't as good as it might seem. Overlord should live with the high ground over there. These are just Lings, not Banelings, so maybe they find a couple drones, but the spine claws is still alive, so that's actually not gonna happen. Never mind. 3 spine claws still alive means that they're gonna need to over-invest in run buys, which QB can't really do. Ooh, nice find on the Roaches here without the protection of other Roaches or other Lings. That was a nice little pick-off. QB slowly clawing her way back into this game, but still down 6 drones and not replacing them, still going into more and more Lings. Potentially seeing an opening to overwhelm. I mean, she's looking at a lot of Roaches. Telia should not be attacking here. She doesn't have Roach speed. You just have +1 missile, which is going to help with the Lings substantially. Taking down that kill shot to 2, but it's a little scary to do this without more Roaches and Roach speed. Alright, so she does pull back. These Lings kind of do some scouting around that third base. Once again, we have a transfer of drones, but okay, this is better timed. Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. Lings, not really the issue for Telia. She's just using them to control the game, maybe find a snipe on a queen that's trying to chase an overlord, something along those lines. It's definitely on her Roaches for her. She now starts that +2 missile, and as QB starts her own Roach warring up in her own +1 missile, Lings are really not going to help her as the game goes on. That +1 melee is basically not going to be useful, aside from helping in case some Lings get into a main mineral line or something like that. You know, their +1 melee Lings can help your own Roaches. They can support your own Roaches when the numbers are still low. But as Telia gets up to 150 supply, which should happen shortly, you know, Roaches really inflate that supply very quickly. That's when Lings just can't help out very much. Lings do find an opening. QB just constantly checking, or sorry, Telia constantly checking. QB constantly losing drones. 9 go down. Into the main base we go. Sees the lair timing, knows that there's no worry whatsoever about QB's Roaches having speed, or about like a secret Spire perhaps being one of those sneaky comeback tools, right? Gonna buy some more time around the main base because she has an attack going over to the south. Roach speed is done. Upgrades are done. +2 could even potentially finish during one of these fights. And while QB has some Lings doing something to this 4th, it's a 4th. Not nearly as important. These Lings of QB go down basically instantly. GG is called. Telia takes game number 4 and the 3-1 victory. Once again, champion of the Banshee tournament. Seems like no one can really